Hi guys, this is the 30th and 31st episode of the Hashbrown Traveler. I'm your host H-Man. So in this episode, we are going to see war memorials. So first we're going to see this war memorial here in Brigade Road called the Sapper's Memorial. So let's go further to this place. So this is the Sapper's Memorial. So here we are seeing is East Africa's campaign in 1914 and 1918. And here we see the Great War, where all of the sappers had fought in these places like Sholingar, the Karnataka, Mysore, Seringapatam, Sitagulde, Nagpur, Eva, Pegu, Central India, Afghanistan, Burma, the Punjab frontier, Tira, and China in 1900. And then you can see Kut al-Amara of 1917, that is the siege of Kut, which happened during World War I. And then Baghdad, Mesopotamia during World War I. And then Persia, surprisingly. And then Northwest Frontier in British India. And then Balochistan, 1918. And then Kilimanjaro, East Africa. And then it's written here, erected by the comrades in memory of officers, non-commissioned officers, pioneers of the first Madras, pioneers who gave their wars during the Great War, 1914-1918. So this one shows the Northwest Frontier, 1915. It was part of the British India, but now the part of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. So here is Pioneers 81. And it has all the details of the officers who fought during this campaign in 1915. And then finally Mesopotamia, 1916 and 1918. So the 64 pioneers of Afghanistan. So here are the details of the officers who fought during World War I. The Sapper's War Memorial that is located in the junction of Brigade Road was built in 1928 and was erected for 449 soldiers of the 1st Madras Pioneers Regiment. This was built to honor those soldiers that lost their lives during the battle during World War I. The soldiers fought in the battle zones in Burma, East Africa, Afghanistan, and Northwest Frontier Province. The cenotaph is pretty similar to the one designed by Sir Edwin Lutyens in Whitehall, London. In fact, most colonies erect similar cenotaphs based on Lutyens' design to commemorate the fallen soldiers of the Great Wars. First Madras Pioneers Regiment was raised in 1780 by the British. They were based in Bangalore. In the 1800s, they were later absorbed into the Madras Sappers, also known as Madras Engineer Group in 1933. Let us go to the next monument, which is the Mysore Lancers Haifa Memorial in J.C. Road. This memorial is known as the Mysore Lancers Haifa Memorial. So this memorial was actually put in honor of the army, which is known as the Mysore Lancers, which was the personal army of the Kingdom of Mysore, who were a part of the 15th Cavalry of the Imperial Service Troops for the British Indian Army. So the story goes that the British 5th Cavalry Division was assigned to the task of capturing Haifa at first. Since the initial attacks were unsuccessful, the Mysore and the Jodhpur Lancers were called in to finish the job. The armies of the Kingdom of Mysore and the Jodhpur states, that is the Mysore Lancers and the Jodhpur Lancers, were in the division to be sent to fight in World War I to liberate the city of Haifa, which was a strategic port at that time of the Ottoman rule. So at this time, the Maharaja of Mysore, that is His Highness Maharaja Nalwadi Krishnaraja Wadayar, wrote to the Viceroy that my people and myself will cheerfully respond to any sacrifices demanded of us of such crisis, and are prepared to bear our share of cost of the war. My troops are ready, and should the money be required, I hereby place at your Excellency's disposal a sum of rupees 50 lakhs as a contribution towards the cost of the Indian War Fund. This letter was written to the Viceroy of India at that time. The three armies in the 15th Cavalry, the Imperial Service Troops, were the Mysore Lancers, the Jodhpur Lancers, and the Hyderabad Lancers. The Hyderabad Lancers was a part of the Hyderabad State Forces under the Nizam of Hyderabad. So, in October of 1914, the Mysore Regiment first left to the Middle East. A convoy of 36 ships carried the troops from India to the Suez Canal. And the Mysore Maharaja's regiment of soldiers was headed by his own brother-in-law, Colonel J. Desraj Urs. But years later, in 1918, the task before the cavalry seemed impossible. Situated between the river Kishan and the slopes of Mount Carmel, Haifa was well defended. While Jodhpur Lancers were tasked to capture these artillery positions, the Mysore Lancers were ordered to attack the town from the east and the north. They moved into position by climbing up the steep track to capture and disable the guns. The Jodhpur Lancers launched the main mounted attack on the rear guard of the German machine gunners, which blocked the road leading to the town. This was followed by the final push by both units. So, by the end of the bloody battle, the two regiments captured 1,350 German and Ottoman prisoners. 8 cavalrymen from the Mysore Lancers lost their lives in the battle, while 34 of them were wounded. So let's have a look of the war memorial here you see in this photo. So you see in this photo here the Mysore Lancers. It's mentioned in the stone. It mentions Suez Canal refers to the 1915 raid of Suez Canal, and Egypt refers to the Sinai-Palestine campaign of 1917. Here it mentions the places where they had their actions: Gaza, Megiddo, Sharon, Damascus, and Palestine. So the first place mentioned here, Gaza. This is the first battle of Gaza, the second battle of Gaza, and the third battle of Gaza. To which the third battle of Gaza was an Allied victory, in which the Ottoman garrison abandoned Gaza on 7th November of 1917 as a result of fighting during the Battle of Tel Quefe and the Battle of Herrera and Sheria. And then we go to the next place, that is Megiddo, which was fought in 1918. So this place was located in the north of Palestine. So this was fought, and the Ottomans had surrendered, and 6,000 of them had escaped the capture at that time. But the casualties were 782 were killed and 382 were missing, and 4,179 people were wounded. And then we see Sharon, that is the Battle of Sharon, which was in 1918 between 19th and 25th September. The Battle of Sharon, which was a series of infantry attacks along the front line from the Mediterranean coast of the Rafat salient in the Judean hills, and the infantry captured of the Tulkarm and the Tabasor, with the subsequent cavalry of occupation of Estelaron plain, and then the cavalry attacked northwards to Haifa, Nazareth, and Samakh. So the result was the French and the British Empire had got the victory of it, to which the casualties and losses were more than 3,000 dead and wounded, unknown casualties from aerial bombing, and more than 25,000 prisoners. And it was from the Western Front that the Battle of Sharon began. You see Damascus, which is in reference to the capture of Damascus, which was a Hejaz British victory, and then you see Palestine also. And then next part we see here you see is the coat of arms of the kingdom of Mysore, which is known as the Ganda Berunde, which is a mythical two-headed bird, and which is now also the coat of arms in the state of Karnataka, India. Here it says, sacred to the memory of those officers and non-commissioned officers and the men of the Mysore Imperial Service troops who gave their lives during the Great War of 1914-1918. Here in this you can see Mysore Transport Corps, which mentions Tigris 1916. It's a reference to the battle honor of Tigris, which had which was in reference to the two wars which was there in the Mesopotamian campaign. There was the Battle of Hana and Battle of Dujela. And here you see it is known as Al-Qut now, the region which is near the river Tigris. The place Kut al Amara, which is in reference to a place which was located in the Sanjak of the Baghdad Elayat in Ottoman Iraq, which is now currently the Republic of Iraq. So this was the only time when the forces were defeated by the Ottomans, which was the victory of the Ottomans. And here you see Baghdad, Mesopotamia 1916-1918, which was actually the part of the Mesopotamian campaign, and to which the armistice of Mudros was signed here in 1918. You can see this pic. So in this pic you can see the roll of honor where all of the names of the soldiers who took part in this campaign, and in their honor of them this monument was erected. And this war memorial was commissioned by the Maharaja of Mysore in honor of the Mysore Lancers. According to this person, Udaya Raghunath Birje, great grandson of soldier Raghunath Prabhu Birje, who served in the Mysore Lancers during First World War, had recalled how his great grandmother used to describe the march of the Mysore Lancers through what is now the J.C.Nagar main road in Bangalore. My great grandmother used to tell me that the entire area used to shake under the hooves of the horses belonging to the Mysore Lancers, said Birje. So the Mysore Lancers returned home in 1920 after participating in other campaigns of the British Army. Post-independence, the Lancer unit was merged with the Indian Army's 61st Cavalry. While the identity of Mysore Lancers was lost after the merger, the Indian Army still remembers the history of the unit that did the impossible in World War I. So after visiting these two memorials, one must say that these are the monuments that reflect the history and the bravery of the Indian soldiers who fought, proving their strength and valor to other armies around the world. So when I saw the Sapper's Memorial, I was surprised to see Persia's name there. It's, I think, in reference to the Anglo-Persian War that was in the 19th century. And China 1900 is in reference to the Boxer Rebellion that happened in 1899 to 1901, which was fought against the Eight Nation Alliance and the Qing dynasty and the Boxers. So here you can see during the Boxer Rebellion, a medal was given for the Third China War to a sapper named Raghunandan for the relief of Pekin in 1900, who was in the Queen's Own Corps of Madras Sappers and Miners. You can see in the photo here. The Mysore Lancers Haifa Memorial is often celebrated every year on September 23rd as Haifa Day. Some of the soldiers are dressed up as the Mysore Lancers come in horses, and the Consul General of Israel would lay a wreath in honor of the fallen soldiers during World War I. I hope you like this episode. Please do like, share, subscribe the Hashbrown Traveler. And Happy New Year.